That should tell you what it's like when I say turnovers were costly. And it's not something that is just in this game. It's been something that's been going on for the entire season. And that goes into my next point. Same story, different year for the Razorbacks. It happens every single year, and that's what makes it so frustrating to be a fan. I'm sure you guys watching these games just pulling out your hair because the same thing seems to happen every single season for this Razorback squad, except for the 2021 outlier. That's the only year in a Sam Pittman tenure where he's had success. He's won those rivalry games. But it's been turnovers, it's been close games where they're right there, and they look like a team that is competitive with the big names, and maybe not Missouri, but even look at last year when they had competitive games with an Alabama or an LSU, and maybe an Ole Miss last year, I guess, a little bit. But this year, it was very similar. Again, the outlier being Ole Miss, that was a blowout. But all these other games have been close, and it comes down to the final play, and it's just heartbreaking. And so it's frustrating to watch as a fan. It's the same things happening over and over, especially with the turnovers throughout the Sam Pittman tenure. It's been turnovers, and it's been close games at that. But speaking of just this season, that leads into my third point. Preseason expectations, in my opinion, they were met. And it might be seen as a little bit of a hot take, and I understand that, but you have to look at this from a perspective of what did most people think Arkansas was going to do leading into the season. Preseason, the over-under was set at 5.5 wins. Arkansas technically overachieved. I'm saying they met expectations, but you could even make the case that they over-exceeded expectations because they had the 6 wins, and that was more than whatever the Vegas people thought they were going to win. They got 6 wins. They're going to be going to a bowl game. And I think you gotta, it's hard for me to be an optimist at this point, because they're 6-6, and it's just a heartbreaking loss that you're coming off of against Missouri. But to be an optimist, you got 6 wins. You're going to a bowl game. You didn't do that last year. You only had 4 wins last year. So if you want to look at it from that perspective, they kind of exceeded expectations. Not many thought they were going to a bowl game. I did. I thought they were going to go 6-6, but it didn't pan out the way I think a lot of fans hoped it would. And I think the frustrating part about going 6-6 is that you saw how good this team is this year, and you're like, that could be a 7-8 win team because of the talent they have on the team. They could have taken down some opponents, and they could be ranked right now. But they aren't, because they can't close out close games, and especially close games when they don't win the turnover battle. So that was certainly the problem. But again, to be an optimist, they fought hard all year. That was something I noticed that was different from last year. This team never quit. I don't think Sam Pittman has lost the locker room, at least in my interpretation of what I'm seeing when, briefly talking to the players and coaches and other media and fans. I feel like he hasn't lost the locker room. And if he had lost the locker room, then that would be a problem, and I would be calling for him to, be fired. I'm not really for sure ready to do that yet. I kind of keep going back and forth on this, and I don't know. I just feel like we have to sit with this for another year, and it's frustrating. But to be an optimist, they won 6 games. They're going to a bowl game, and you never know. Let's look at it on a little bit of an optimist going forward. So we'll see how the rest of the season progresses. But talking specifically about this Missouri game, the Battle Line rivalry, Coach Sam Pittman, he acknowledged that some of these problems, they happen a lot, and they happen over and over. And he talked about the turnovers as well in his post-game press conference.
I think it's happened 3 or 4 out of the 5 years when we're either close or have the lead. And I'm disappointed we didn't beat Missouri. I'm disappointed for our kids. I'm disappointed for the fans. Not disappointed in the effort, but in the execution with the 2 turnovers. It led to 2 scores, and they had 0. And it's hard to beat a top 25 team that way. It's very frustrating. I mean, we work ball security, every week and put an emphasis on it, and that's part of our keys to our ways we can win. And especially we knew today with the weather how it was, if whoever turns the ball over less is going to win, and that's kind of exactly what happened.